stand your spiritual ground. Hi, this is Nikki from nikkisconfettilife.com, and this is day 8 of the Self-Love Project. 28 days of the Self-Love Project is on nikkisconfettilife.com, but this is my YouTube channel, The Garden of Mind. And today I want to talk about boundaries. So let's just hop right into it. I don't like to waste a lot of time. Self-love is setting boundaries and enforcing them. Setting and enforcing boundaries is challenging, especially when you love the person, especially when people don't understand your journey or your vision. And let me just say this, they don't have to. And you need to learn to be okay with that. Self-love and setting boundaries is challenging. You must stand your spiritual ground. Let's break it down. Self-love is setting boundaries and enforcing them. You tell me that you love yourself, but you don't set boundaries. And then when you do set boundaries, you don't enforce those boundaries. For an example, let's say you have a friend or a sister or brother or relative that just shows up at your house all the time, out of the blue, and you let them in. Every time they show up out of the blue and you let them in, you're saying, it's okay for you to come to my home unannounced. It's okay for you not to care about what I'm doing, if I want to be bothered, if I'm busy at the time, if I have company. You're telling them it's okay. But deep down inside, you know it's not okay. You're irritated when they show up. You're huffing and puffing when you open the door, but you let them in anyway, and you're smiling. It's like, hey, because this is something that they do. Now, we are taught sometimes that family has a right to say whatever they want to say, do whatever they want to do, pop up at your house whenever they get ready, invite themselves to things that you are doing because they're family. And wrong answer. People need to respect your space and your boundaries. Whatever those boundaries are, you need to put boundaries in place for people to respect them. And then when you put the boundary in place, you need to enforce the boundary. It's just like a child that, you say, if you don't come home on time again, then I'm going to take your car keys. But then they come home late again and you don't take their car keys. You keep doing it over and over and over again, and then they don't respect you. And you wonder why. It's because you don't enforce the boundaries. You don't enforce the rules that you have laid down. You don't enforce the law of your home. And then you have older children, they grow older and they don't respect you when you tell them not to do something, or that's not okay, or you give your opinion, or you try to give your input. They don't want to hear it because they haven't been hearing it all this time. And sometimes you don't want to do that because you feel guilty, or they may think you don't love them. Look, if you don't protect your kids, or if you don't protect a person, then to me that says that you don't love them. You're not going to let your child run out in the street. You're going to run out there and stop them before they get to the end of that driveway. That's a sign that you care. So you're not going to just say, oh, just go on out there. I don't want you to think that I don't love you or that you can't do what you want to do, so let me go out. Let me just let you run out there. In essence, that's what you're doing when you don't set boundaries and you don't enforce those boundaries with anyone. You're telling them that it's okay. And then when you're threatening them not to do something or to do something, and then you don't do it, you're saying, don't take me seriously. Keep doing what you're doing, even though it's bothering me. So if that person shows up at your house and you say, you know what, I love you, but sometimes you pop up and I'm busy, or I've had a long day and I don't want to be bothered, or I have company and we want to be alone, even if you're going in the other room, or you're going to the backyard to kick it or to hang out, or you're bringing people over here to my house that I just don't want in my house. And they go, why not? Because it's my house. It's mine. It's not yours. You have to set boundaries with people, or quit griping about it, or quit complaining about it when you don't set boundaries and when you don't enforce those boundaries. So next time you come over here and you don't call before you come, or you don't ask me how do I feel, or if I want company today, then if you show up, I'm not going to answer the door. And they go, You're kidding me. You wouldn't do that to me. I'm your sister. I'm your cousin. I'm your brother. I'm your friend. You wouldn't do that to me. You are afraid that that relationship is going to change, or they're not going to like you anymore. They're not going to love you anymore. And sometimes in life, you have to take that risk. You may not like me anymore, but you're still my friend. You may not love me and, say you don't love me anymore because of such a small thing, then you probably didn't love me anyway. But you have to respect my space and respect my boundaries. End of story. And setting boundaries and enforcing them is a sign that you love yourself. Think about what it does to you when you don't set boundaries, when that boss comes in and because they know you're the weak one that's going to work all the overtime, even though you're dead tired, you don't want to do it, they're going to come to you because you always say yes. Something in you doesn't want to let anybody down. Or you saying yes, but in your mind you're going, oh, hell no, I don't want to work today. But you don't want to be the one that lets the team down. Or you want to be seen as the one that, look, I volunteer and I do this and I do that at the sake of your sanity and for the sacrifice of your sanity, for the sacrifice of your physical health. You will do anything to get on top. That's not a sign that you love yourself. You need to grow deeper roots. You need to grow deeper roots to loving yourself by setting boundaries and enforcing those boundaries. I am telling you, it is a challenge because people don't like change. And when you start to change, they want to know, well, why are you doing this? Or why are you doing this? And sometimes you don't have to, all the time, you don't have to tell them why. But you can be honest and say, because when you show up at my house and I'm tired, I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to be around people. I'm tired that day. It could be a better day. Or you can say, I have company and I want to be alone with my company. That's why I'm setting this boundary. Well, you haven't said anything before. I didn't want to hurt your feelings. But in the process, my feelings are being agitated and irritated because every day that I get off and come home, you're here. Or it could just be the way somebody talks to you and you put up with it for whatever reason. And you need to search those reasons that you put up with certain things and ask yourself, why do I continue to put up with these things when I know these things agitate me? And as we move into talking about, I said something about people not understanding your journey or your vision. There are spiritual levels to this thing too. When you're changing spiritually, people won't respect your spiritual boundaries. I need to block off this time for prayer. But every time I block off this time for prayer, you interrupt me. And you know that's the time that I'm praying, or that's the time that I'm reading. Or if I tell you right now it's not a good time, I'm doing something, I'm meditating or whatever, and you just come in the room anyway, like you don't care what I'm doing or you don't care what I'm saying. People need to respect your spiritual journey and your spiritual boundaries as well. And you need to enforce that. You're going a different path and they're going the same path that they've been going because that's their path. But they look at you and say, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Oh, you shouldn't be going over there. Oh, you shouldn't be reading that. Oh, you shouldn't be studying that. Well, this is where I'm being led to. Respect my spiritual boundaries and enforce those boundaries that you set with others. Yes, it's challenging, but as we've been discussing self-love and deepening the roots of self-love is challenging. And one of the most difficult things that we find it hard to do is to set boundaries and then to enforce those boundaries. Work on that. Practice doing that. Release that. And face the fact that you may lose some people on the way and relationships may change. Have a blessed day.